Hello everyone, this is Aaron, and I play Magic way too much. Okay, Jace, Unraveler of Secrets, or J2. We are going to level him up. I am using him for an event right now, and so I'm going to get him to level 60 and see what happens. Jace is people's favorites. I remember when Jace came out, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, whenever it was, maybe it's more than that, people just raving over him. He does so well. Mana is good. We'll see that in a second. The Magic Man, who watches all the videos, makes a lot of good videos. Look him up on YouTube. Find him on the forums. Lots of good info there. He was surprised I hadn't maxed him already because he's his favorite. So Jace is a good one. And I know why. I mean, there's lots of things you can do with them. So we're going to go over a few of those things, and I'm going to make a deck, and I'm going to kind of show you how my take on it. And I'm going to go like I have before in some other videos and show like the top 20, 30 cards for Jace, the ones I would kind of build my deck around. Kind of a good place to start for anybody that has Jace and is kind of looking for something, looking for maybe new ideas, because I'll share 3 or 4 deck ideas. So let's go over the basics first, though. He just cost 79,920 runes to level up, and he's leveled up on all those areas. So let's look at his abilities. And the first ability is for 9 loyalty, gain 4 mana per support you control on the board. Next one is 12 loyalty, discard 1 card, then investigate 4. Remember, investigates we're going to draw 4 cards in about 2 turns. And the ultimate ability is for 21, which is a reasonable cost. Create a support. When you draw a card, each of your creatures gains +4/+4. So very good abilities. Very similar in a way to like Ob Nixis, the third ability, where it's when you're drawing cards you do damage to them, and this is essentially doing damage to them. And the same thing with Dovin Ban. I always say his name right, I don't care. But he, when you energize or whatever, overload a gem, you get +6/+6. So it's very similar in that, and both those abilities are very good. This mana, if you looked at the very bottom, and actually just a total side note, black is in the middle now. It used to be that red was in the middle, and it went the other way. Green was on the left, and I think red was on the far left. Well, I don't know why they switched it. Did they switch it, or am I crazy? They did it about 2 updates ago. Whatever. Maybe it's 1 update. So the way I read these abilities is the first ability, basically I'm playing for the third ability. I'm trying to get a creature, maybe 2 creatures out. Doesn't have to be a lot. And then bam, 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 kill him with that ability. Okay? Also, I don't care about the story. The second ability I will use after I use the third ability. So if a game's a really long game and, it's like one of the Revolt Against the Consulate, something, the guy has 400 life, I'm going to use the third ability, and then I'm going to use the second ability to draw extra cards. Okay? But in general, I'm not just going to need 4 cards unless I have a super screaming, just fast deck. And then hopefully he's dead. But that first ability is nice because you gain 4 mana per support you control on the board. So if you're in trouble and it's kind of middle of the game, you already have some supports out or something, then you can get out of trouble pretty quickly. So the trouble is you have to have supports out, but the good part is there's a way out when you're in a hole, and that is good. So it's a lot like Sorin in a way, because you get some mana for every creature you have out. So it's not the best at the start, but once this ramps up, it's kind of a slow build because none of the abilities are worth much until about midway through the game, or at least 5-6 rounds in. The deck, they give you a bunch of garbage, but that's what you start with, and you never think about this, but this is worth, I don't know, a couple runes, so that's a little kickback on your 80,000 you just spent. Okay, so I'm going to put together some cards and talk to you soon. Okay, I'm back. It's only a second later. Just to be very thorough, let's look at the top here. We can have 7 creatures, 5 spells, and 5 supports. And I was going to talk about this too. Just some basic things in this deck, basic strategies for the deck. One, you can do a thing in the ice, and you can try to kill all their creatures. Again, kind of slow and steady. Startled Awake, if you have them, it's going to be in all your decks, and that basically, Spirit doesn't really matter, but you're going to gain mana extra fast. Of course, there's things like this with the Overload. We can spend all day talking about that. But if you have Baral, if the Chief of Compliance, you're going to use him, of course. But Day's Underdog is going to be good if you want to draw more cards. So that might be a card you have in there, and it goes really well with the third ability. So that's kind of a kind of deck. It's kind of a draw card deck. Here's another kind of deck with Thopter Spy Network. You might want a lot of supports and let your supports kill them and not worry so much about creatures. Okay, Thopter Spy Network is great for that. Another kind of deck, and I've seen this, is a nice zombie deck because you have some good blue zombies, and it works out really well. Another kind of deck you would have for this is you would have like no creatures at all, the same kind of what I was just talking about. Maybe this is with Thopter Spy Network, maybe not. Is you're going to have one big creature, you're going to use that first ability to get them out, or you're going to use Startled Awake to get them out like this, and it's just going to work really well. So we use one big creature, and this actually summons 2. But those are the, Rattle Change is a deck you see a lot, Spirit deck with this, and then Spirit deck, when you drew Startled Awake, would go in. So these are the kind of decks you see. The other kind of deck you're going to see is you're going to deprive them of mana. You're going to make it so they, their first card costs 40 to get out or whatever, with various things we're going to do. The other kind of deck is we are going to not steal their creatures, which is an option here too, but we're going to just we're going to return their creatures to hand. So we got a lot of options here, and that's where that is, the steal their creatures. So again, the option are just draw a ton of cards and get everything crazy, make it so they can never cast a card, Startled Awake with spirits. Those are the, I don't know how many that was, but 3 or 4 kinds of decks you're going to have with Jace. I'm going to focus on something a little different, but not really different. I'm going to focus on that, but just so you have a kind of idea of the different directions you can go. Hey guys, I'm back. Okay, so I have a lot of cards here, 36 cards that I would consider putting in a deck. This one probably isn't going to make it, but it goes to the theme of making the opponent lose mana or making that card cost more. We also have, this is so cheap as long as you have a void deck, so you can get the settle out there as long as you can process 1, but for 3 you send a card back. Imprison the Moon, remember this, I'm going to come back to it. It's I'm actually going to remove that from the deck and remove that, but Imprison the Moon, fantastic card. If you have it, it's going to go in almost any blue deck. Thing in the Ice, there's lots of horrors, and we can come back to this. I'll leave it in just for a second. Disperse, this is great. I have actually this in most of my decks. And think about this card for a second. If somebody casts any creature that costs, like, let's just say it costs 12, you're spending 4 to send it back. So they're losing... you're spending 4, they're spending 12, there's 8 mana difference, and then it gains 6 mana. So realistically, if the number is actually 10, if you send something back that costs 10 or more, you're making mana on that. If it's 10 or less, then you're losing mana on that overall, if you get the exact same number of mana. But I like that a lot because there's so many just monster cards that people cast, and you're just like, oh, go back. Sunken Hollow, of course, blue-black. Sphinx, this is going to be in many, many blue decks, but in this one specifically, we want strong supports, we want cheap supports. That's kind of the name of the game here with Jace 2, because if we need to have them out in order to use that first ability. Prisms away, strong array, strong, cheap support, and you're drawing cards, which goes with Sphinx below. This is probably the most powerful card out right now. You see it all the time, and it just is crazy. So again, cheap. Here we have control 5 or less. Cards, return creature to hand. It's nice. This isn't the best one by any means, but it's there, keeping with theme. Here we have, we're going to discard some cards, and there's a lot of discard kind of options in blue. And one thing though, I might be using this in a deck where I can only cast one creature, and that's great. So I can bring it back. I'm not sure if that's going to be my one. Here we go. If you're going to cast lots of spells, this is a great spirit to have. Return creature to hand. We want to draw cards because you use Sphinx, or we just want to keep mana, or we just want to keep cards going through. Great card. I used to use this all the time, not so much anymore. Oh, the Jace, very powerful. Again, drawing 2 cards, you're making their card cost more, or drain 1 mana. It's costing more essentially. And here we go, just a cheap, or if you want to stick in the theme of like Thing in the Ice, just get rid of their card. They spend more than 9 on something, and you kill it. This used to be, if you played 6 months ago or whatever, this used to be just a game ender. You'd play this, and the tech on it, the AI on it, just really messed it up. But now it's a playable card and just normal. But I really like it, and I have it in a deck that I use quite often. You're drawing cards again. That goes with the third ability. Make it so they can't cast cards. This is for 9. It's a 6/5. I mean, that's incredible. And you're casting more cards, more creatures with that. Very good card for very cheap. Again, with the Thing in the Ice, it would go great. So another deck idea. Target creature, return to hand, or top a library in this case. You see a theme. Draw more cards. Return creature to hand. They're disabled. This one isn't used as much as the white one, but it works pretty good. Here's a horror. We're drawing cards. Kind of see a theme here. And so what I'm trying to show here is not that every single one of these is super, like you have to have each one in there, because obviously I'm showing you 36 cards or whatever. But if you have a strong theme for this deck, it will work. Only horrors, Thing in the Ice, bam, you got it, right? There's 3 or 4 that will work really well. If it's make sure they can't cast any cards at all, so you don't need to kill anything, that'll work too. This would go with either one, but same thing. Return creature to hand. So I've seen like 5 of these, okay? When this creature enters the battlefield, draw X, where X is the amount of supports you control. You're going to have lots of cheap supports. You're going to draw lots of cards. I mean, there's this, you can really hammer on a theme here. Target creature, return to the library. They could have 6 cards in their hand. Here we go. Remember, I just said it. For 3, you're killing a creature, and you're giving it an 0/1. Well, what if you cast Courier here, and then, so you cast Courier. You already have the third ability out. Then you used Imprison the Moon. So you're killing your own card. You get a 0/1. You're using the ability. Every card you draw gives 4/4 to all your creatures. And guess what? You just drew 6 cards. So 4/4. I mean, that's 24/24. Okay. That's a good card combination. Now you have a 24/24. You get 3 mana for every one of those. So now you're getting 74 mana a turn. Okay. Wild. and you if you just draw lots of cards with other things, and you have 6 cards in your hand, so you're getting 74 mana. So that card combination right there is just incredible. Just incredible. Think about that again for a second. Yeah. Okay. When this creature attacks, you discard 1 and draw a card. You know, that third ability, return creature to hand. Make it so they can't cast anything. And here we go again. So, do you see a theme? Do you see how this deck could be so powerful? Do you see 3 or 4 different combinations that are just incredible? And yeah, I'm showing you some rares here. I'm showing you some mythics, but the majority are uncommons. I mean, that's the center of 2 of the decks right there. The Sphinx, which kind of did a weird flash on there. A lot of the return creature to hands, commons, uncommons. I'm going to come back with a little better deck, but you see the power of this Planeswalker. Hey guys, I'm back. I want to just jump over here. These are some cards I don't have, but would probably go in the deck, or at least think about going in the deck. I didn't put them in the last little section. And just kind of some interesting cards. This one I just always wanted, and it's one of the few rares I don't have from that first set. And so there we go. So that's just to round it out, because I only showed you earlier the cards I have that I would kind of think about. And here is my deck. Actually, this is for an event too, so it's not maybe not the perfect deck, but it is pretty good. I'm trying to summon 1 or less. What am I trying to do? 1 or less creature. That's why there's only 1 creature in here, and I'm trying to do 5 spells or 6 spells. So you can see that return creature to hand, kill a creature, speed up the deck, make it so they can't cast anything. When they cast something, it goes away. Make it so if they cast something, it goes away. Make it so they can't cast. This is just a nice one because you're going to get 2 different creatures out for the price of 1, and with that third ability, that's going to be really nice. And a 6/5 for 9, I mean, come on. The only mythic in the deck, you don't need this. It's just in my deck. And then I always like to have this or something like it to make sure I have cards. So you can see that it's very focused. It's either make it so they can't cast a card or put it right back in their hand, so it's the same as not casting. And then I have the 1 creature. And actually, this just counts as a creature if you think about it. And everything costs 10 or less. So that's my deck. It worked really well. I'm actually using it in an event, and I guess I get to brag a little bit because I don't know, we all have an ego, right? But I'm doing well in the event, and I used the 2 new decks that I posted videos about today in there, so it's working. So what strategy do you go with? What cards are you using? So there you go. I missed 2 points. One of the things. So what combo do you use? You go for send creature back to hand like I do? Do you go for the Thopter Spy Network? What are you working on in your Jace deck? Thanks, guys. Have a good night.